The conscious mind is the house of the infamous negative voice. Now, the negative voice, in opposed to your soul, doesn't know anything about you. It really doesn't know anything what you've done yesterday, doesn't even remember what you have for breakfast, what you had for breakfast, and it definitely doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. But because it wants to make sure that you are safe, it wants to preserve you, it always going to give you lies to make sure that you stay where you are today, by giving you lies and telling you you're going to fail, you're going to lose all your money, it's going to be a disaster, who do you think you are, if it was such a good idea it would have been done already anyway. All of these kind of conversations are all based on lies. A new week and a new corner that we are going to start, and this is really about your challenges, your problems, your doubts, your whatever. Send them my way, and if I feel this is the right one, I'm going to record something for you. And as we're all connected, we know that we all need to hear pretty much the same thing at the same time. So today I'm going to talk very specifically about a conversation that I had just the other day with someone very important to me. And so the question, or basically what I just wanted to remind us, is that doubts and fears and uncertainties are really just a normal part of life. But how we deal with them is the real question. Are we allowing them to get in the way and make us feel stuck and nervous and really recycle our fears and limitations? Or are they just coming here to inform us that we need to look at something or think about something or plan for something in a different way to maybe we were about to begin with? But what comes into how we deal with fears, doubts, limitations, uncertainties, and all of that is really the question of which voice, which internal voice, which source of information we are listening to. So on the one hand, we have our soul. I call it the unconscious mind, but soul is just as good. And really the important thing here is that our soul knows everything about us. It knows where we came from, past lives and so on. It knows where we are going, future lives. But also it knows everything, more specifically for what we are here to do, it knows everything about this very life that we are doing at the moment. And so the soul is like, no problem. Just do it. There are no limitations. There's no need for compromises. Fears are acceptable, but also there are no needs. If you need to operate from fear, you're operating from the wrong reason. And so the soul is very much here to catch you. Do whatever you need to do. I'm going to give you the information and the indication if you are going in the right direction. And if not, I will guide you. So really just show up with trust, show up with curiosity, show up with this feels right kind of thing, and everything will fall into place. So this is really the soul. Now, on the other hand, we have, of course, the conscious mind, and this is the realm of the thoughts, everything that is practical and logical and realistic, everything that makes sense. So no magic there at all. But what I also like to say is that the conscious mind is the house of the infamous negative voice. Now, the negative voice, in opposed to your soul, doesn't know anything about you. It really doesn't know anything what you've done yesterday, doesn't even remember what you have for breakfast, what you had for breakfast, and it definitely doesn't know what's going to happen in the future. But because it wants to make sure that you are safe, it wants to preserve you, it always going to give you lies to make sure that you stay where you are today. So it says to itself, actually, have you done this before? If you've done it before, go ahead, you can continue. Boring, because you are repeating. But if you haven't done it yesterday, then not on my watch. And it basically stops you from moving forward. How? By giving you lies and telling you you're going to fail, you're going to lose all your money, it's going to be a disaster, who do you think you are, if it was such a good idea it would have been done already anyway. All of these kind of conversations are all based on lies. The negative voice has no knowledge of whether you are going in the right path or not. So going back to fears and how you show up, it's very much depending on which of these voices you're bringing forward. Because if you are here and you have a dilemma, something that you want to do, a decision, something that you're not too sure about, your negative voice immediately going to tell you, this is a bad idea, don't do it, it's too scary, you're not good enough, all of that. Your soul, on the other hand, just says, go for it. I gave you this idea because I knew you can't fail. And you really can't fail. That's the most beautiful thing about it. Because wherever you go, you either get immediately what you wanted, which is wonderful, or you're going to get the best lessons that you wouldn't have been able to get any other way. So basically, it really is like, trustful in a sense, knowing that the universe has already created a safety net, and anything that needs to happen is going to happen for your advancement. So if you're standing where you are now and you're thinking, I really want to do something, but you're scared because you've never done that before. So absolutely, it's a natural, feeling. But if you allow yourself to just stay where you are, maybe procrastinate and just, ruminate and just worry about it, you'll never get anywhere, of course. If you're saying, do you know what, I don't know the answer, I don't even know the way, I don't know what makes all of this happen, but I know that I feel like it's the right thing to do. So now what you want to do is to take a step forward, just a tiny little step, whatever it is, just a very tiny step. And by moving forward, you're already getting new kinds of informations. Maybe you're already meeting new people, maybe you're already, looking at things slightly differently, because as you move forward, new things come your way, new information, new people, new inspirations, and so on. And so now you can make the decision, okay, now what is my next step? Where do I want to go? Remember that even when you send a rocket to the moon, it knows where it wants to go, but it keeps, course correct all the time. And so the question is, where do I want to go? Do I want to continue on my original route, or do I want to pivot a little bit and change where I go, and based on new things that come along? If you're being very rigid and you're saying, my aim is just to go from A to B, because you're rigid, actually that's come from fear. But if you're saying, I want to go from A to B, but I'm open to seeing any subcategories along the way, you're really allowing yourself to get enriched, because you are paying attention and you're getting the cues and whatever is being sent your way with gratitude, because it's there for you. Now, if you say you want to go from A to what you think is B, but the universe is saying actually B, realistic term, is D, and there are 2 steps beforehand that you need to do, then you bring in the trust and you understand that if you went from A to, let's call it now D, if you went straight ahead, you would have crashed because you're not ready yet. It means that there are a couple of steps. Of course, you don't know that there are a couple of steps, but there's something in between that you must pay attention to, because everything always happens according to divine timing, which means that something is always working in your favor, even if you don't understand it yet, or even if you don't see it yet. And the other thing is, things always happen the way they're meant to happen, because otherwise they would have happened in a different way. And so if you say, right, I want to go from A to B, but things are not happening and you're constantly finding yourself stuck at the very beginning, then you can see that you are walking from resistance. You're walking from fears and limitations and uncertainties and doubts and all of that. So you're very much stuck. So opening this up and really noticing how you feel. And now all of a sudden you say, actually, it feels right. I know with the whole of my being that this is what I'm meant to be doing. So take that first step and invite the universe to give you the right inspirations, people, motivations, ideas, whatever, to take you forward. Now say that you took a step forward and another step forward, and maybe you were 5 steps in, and all of a sudden, disaster. I don't know. Maybe really you did lose all your money, or maybe you found out that the technology that you were going to do something is really not the right one, or maybe people are starting to fall off or whatever. Now we have a choice. If we again listening to our negative voice, the negative voice would say, see, I told you, that is a silly idea. What were you thinking? You're not good enough. You're really not good enough for these things. Stay small. It wants you to stay in your comfort zone. But the universe is saying, great, these are new learnings. This is new feedback that now you can take and walk from that. Because in the bigger scheme of things, you're already starting to collect feedback and new informations. So no one said that a smooth sailing is the only way to go. Actually, you're learning and you're growing from the challenges and the turmoil that is put in your way. So what do you want to do? You have a choice. You either listen to your negative voice and sink, or you listen to your soul and you say, okay, so take it in your stride. It's part of the journey. Now, none of us really know what is going to happen in the future. So you need to pay attention to how you set the scene. Are you now thinking, oh, I failed and that's a disaster? I'm sorry about this notification. Let me switch it off. Okay, so it's not going to interfere again. So I forgot where I was going with this. But still, you have to pay attention to see how things feel. So if you're going from the negative voice, there's always the feeling of constriction. It's like, I'm really scared, I'm really nervous, I don't know what to do. There's all this negativity in the air. It's resistance. And if you are listening to your soul, it's always about flow, because the soul always gives you what it knows you can already do and is already in alignment with where you need to be. The question is just, are you going to honor it or not? So something else that I want to say is that sometimes people, external people, not you, will come into your path and they will have an opinion about what you should do and what you must do and what is really recommended. Now you must remember that they are coming, even if they are 100% your people, they're still giving you advice from their fear, their fears, their limitations, what they believe is the right thing to do. Now no one knows the future. I think that's where I was going with. They also don't know the future. So they will try and be very nice to you and very supportive of you, but they will still show up from anything that went wrong in their lives. So take this with a pinch of salt. Ask yourself, how does that feel to me? What do I want to do? Now, if you're already halfway through something like a degree course or some training or so on, it is probably a good idea to finish that, because once you have that in your bag, no one can take it from you. But if you have something else that is calling you, then you might want to say, okay, how do I fit it all together? Is it really true that there is a time limit? So urgency, because if you have urgency, all of a sudden you're feeling more stuck because you don't know, should I do more this or should I do more that? The truth is that, it really is all depending on how you feel, and you need to look at these external stressors more objectively. So if you have time limits and time is ticking and you really feel that you are missing out if you're not doing what you want to do, then you need to say, okay, how can I fit it all together? And maybe you say, okay, I have 12 hours in a day that I'm operating, then okay, so maybe I do 7 hours for this and 3 hours for that. Or basically simplify it. So you catch where you're thinking from, because if you're thinking from your negative voice, it will always say, no, you can't do it and it's not a good idea. So it will put blocks in your way. And if you're listening to your soul, the soul will like, right, let's figure this out. A lot of the time, basically, whatever happens to be in your path, because it's all about divine timing and divine everything, you can't see, for example, why this is happening for you at this moment. But later on, in a few years or so, you will look back and you say, now I understand, now it makes perfect sense. Because everything that you actually end up doing and putting yourself in for is part of your journey. So if I go back to what I said at the beginning, sometimes you want to be from where you are now, you want to already be in the future. But if you're not ready, it's not going to happen. And when I say ready, a lot of the time, ready means coming out of your comfort zone, understanding your fears, and understanding your doubts, understanding your whatever is holding you back, and finding a way to move forward in a way that really feels right. So going back into your alignment. So again, going back to the beginning, fears are not bad things. Fears really help us to understand where we want to go and how we feel about something. But really the question is it just an empty fear that says, oh, you're not good enough, so you can't do it, which is nonsense. Of course you are good enough. Or is it a fear that brings with it what I call golden nuggets? because with the golden nugget, it says, actually, this thing that you really want to do, if you just did it already, maybe you would have missed out on some steps, some important research, some important meetings that are going to happen with people, or some investors, or so on. So if you have that fear, ask yourself, what is this fear telling me? And then unpack it, really put it on the table and look at it with full light, so that you can really understand what was holding you back. And now that it's in full light, you're taking away its power. Now it's very much a very important part of wisdom that you wouldn't have had without it. So I hope it makes sense. Please do let me know if it doesn't. If you have any comments, let me know. My name is Einav Avni. I'm an alignment coach and energy healer. And I love talking with people about the fears and doubts and limitations and so on that are holding them back, and how to connect with the soul for their alignment, to know how to move forward in a way that is in flow and expansion, rather than what most of us doing at the moment, which is through fears and doubts and so on. So if you have a comment, let me know. If you want to like and subscribe, please do. And I'll see you next week with our next video. Have a great day.